Yes! Hello, my beautiful friends. What an amazing Friday it is. Welcome back. We've got a bunch of business to attend to today. Quick preview, then we'll zoom in for further detail. But we're checking out what the FBI was doing to our friend Charlie Kirk some time ago. We've got some new documents that have been declassified, unclassified for us, courtesy of the great Senator Chuck Grassley. And so we'll go through these materials because, as you'll see inside, we've got this entire list. A lot of people are screeching right now about Jimmy Kimmel's getting canceled. This is the FBI going hog wild on all of these groups, okay? All of these people in a spreadsheet. Even my pillow, okay, is under attack here. And they're coming up with a bunch of garbage reasons to do it. And you know who is on this list? That's right. Turning Point USA. And of course, our boy, Charlie Kirk and his crew, all going to be investigated courtesy of our disgusting FBI, or priorly disgusting FBI. It's still pretty disgusting. There's a lot of work to do there. So we're going to go through this because Chuck Grassley revealed all of this earlier this week, and he had a nice litany of items that he reminded us about that was all courtesy of the prior administration. And so he came out, we got a little bit of clip from Chuck Grassley. We'll listen to a little bit of it. I know it's early, so get your coffee ready, but we'll see what he had to say, go through some of the materials, because he also released some audio for us, which will be very interesting to listen to because it's audio of Peter Navarro. You remember him, another person who was unfairly and unjustly investigated by the Biden DOJ. And they told us that when they went and served Navarro with the subpoena, that he was obstructive or combative or whatever, okay, because they're just liars. And the audio doesn't show that at all. Dude didn't even open the door. All right, so we'll go through it and see what he has to say about it, all coming up. Then we got to talk about this furry freak show situation that's happening over with the trans loving assassin who murdered Charlie Kirk. Apparently, he was into some really weird, bizarre stuff. And a lot of this stuff, furry shades of gay. Okay, so we're going to go through it. I think a lot of this, honestly, is we'll unpack here. It's just a proxy for PDF files. And there's some interesting, compare and contrasts on this because we also saw that George Zinn, this dude right here, was also charged with exploitation of a minor. And so all this, there's a lot of furry stuff with 8-year-old furries and all this. What are you doing? And it's just a proxy for something that's much more, actually egregious in the real world. It's just kind of substituting these dogs in for children. So it's pretty sick. Anyways, we'll go through it. We'll see what he was looking at. And of course, they are going to keep saying this is a right winger or something like that. All right. Well, we'll go through it. We also had Candace Owens yesterday drop this photo that she says came from a Dairy Queen. And she got sent this by some tipster in her emails. And so she shared it with us. And we'll go through it because some people are reacting to it and saying it's maybe not real. Maybe there's some weird stuff going on. And whoever sent it to her is just kind of, manipulating things because they're asking about this Superman poster and when that promo ended. So was this an earlier photo? Is this AI generated? Is it recent? Who knows? Just kind of looking at the context of what's going on. So we'll come back to that, take a look at it, see what's happening there. A lot of reaction. And then we'll see what else is going on with the Charlie Kirk maniacs who are viciously attacking him, like this guy called Edwin Ferguson, who's a lawyer, apparently, and a board member over on District 7 in Palm Beach County. And we'll listen to what he had to say. It's not nice. And yesterday, there was also these protesters over there. So the Democratic Party's telling us, will you guys just tone it down? Just relax. Will you guys just take it easy? Okay. Yes, we know we shot one of your top generals in the neck, but we're definitely not at war. We're definitely going to just talk through all this. So just turn the temperature down. Are they going to come out and disavow these people who are walking down the streets screaming these things? You think the Democrats will come out and disavow them? No, because it's their voters. It's their entire party. So we've got that. And if you're not, if you're a Democrat and you're not interested in that, then you should leave the party because it's their official position, basically. We also had Erica Kirk come out and explain, I know everything. We'll listen to that. It's a juicy one. And we've got Charlie Kirk Remembrance Day and other things happening in Congress, along with this exchange between Marjorie and Jasmine Crockett, full of who we'll listen to. Then President Trump came out and said Ilhan Omar needs to be expelled from Congress for her bad language, but in addition to that, because she may have married her brother, said the president. So you can see Nancy Mace says, expel, denaturalize, and deport. And if she's here as a citizen on a fraudulent basis, as we've seen here, we've already talked about this many times, you can't commit fraud in your, you can't commit fraud. The puppy just moved the camera around a little bit. We got some rain and some thunder going on, so he's under there kind of, just wanting to make sure we know he's there. Thank you, sir. So we've got that fixed now. Now, denaturalize, deport, and more from Nancy Mace. And of course, we'll go through it. All right, so I don't even know what I was talking about there, but we got Trump coming out saying she's got to go. We had this other dude saying this is like the Somalian president who was very excited that they've got an asset embedded in our Congress. We've got this. We'll talk more because apparently there were a bunch of people in Minnesota who all got arrested for some pretty serious fraud. $8.4 million in Medicaid fraud from all these people. Mokhtar Hass Aidin, Mustafa Dayeeb Ali, Khalid Ahmed Dayeeb, Abdifa. Okay, we got it. All right. So it's just, we know what's going on. So we got 8 people charged and a reaction from the U.S. attorney who brought the charges. And we're also asking about Ilhan Omar and about this censure attempt that failed yesterday and why Corey Mills was somebody who voted against it. It's pretty interesting. Does he have his own concerns with being censured? He says no. And so he recorded this video that he released. I think he was recording this with like a potato or something. I don't know. But he responded and just said, no, it's about free speech and I'm not going to censure Ilhan at all. Nancy Mace was also out today. This is a wild clip, man. She's just going after the T's like it ain't nothing. And Don Lemon is not very happy about it. So we'll listen to that. But in good news, we see that there was a resolution that passed today on behalf of Charlie Kirk. And it turns out 58 Democrats don't want to tone the temperature down, okay, because it'll anger their constituents. If they even pause to remember Charlie Kirk, a man who got assassinated. That's all it was. In this resolution, it's obviously much more than that, but in this resolution, very simple. Can you just acknowledge it? No, because it's political violence. All right. We know. Thanks for telling us. So we're going to have a beautiful stream, my friends. Thanks for being here and with us. We're doing an early show today because we've got some wedding affairs to attend to this afternoon. And then we're going down to the Valley for the Charlie Kirk Memorial on Sunday. So hopefully we'll see you there. We will be back tomorrow, membos, with a member stream, and we'll have an after party here today. So if you're a membo, stick around and we'll debrief after the show is over. But thanks for joining us early. I hope your Friday's off to a great start and we're glad that you're here and with us. Let's get to it because we've got some FBI business and nefariousness to unpack. Charlie Kirk, turning point, and many other Americans on the right side of the aisle back during the Biden administration were under attack. They were being targeted. We've now got the documents that reveal a very extensive spreadsheet showing just what the FBI was up to. And we're going to go through it because you'll see here, Turning Point USA listed right there in a list with a bunch of other entities. Of course, Sidney Powell got investigated. Brad Parscale, you remember him, who was Trump's election guru for the first election, and many others. All these people targeted. We'll come back to it. But it shows that the weaponization occurred at a massive scale, and we're just learning about it courtesy of Chuck Grassley. And so Chuck Grassley earlier this week, he came out and he gave us a little bit of a speech. Went on for about 10 minutes, so we'll hit the highlights of it. But he said, all right, look, Director Patel, I know you're in here today, and we've got a lot of work that you need to do here. Now, you've done some good stuff, okay? Big numbers, 23,000 violent criminals, okay. Now, the teamwork has resulted in the arrest and the removal of a bunch of people, and you're even going after MS-13 and more. But, Chuck Grassley said, I want to come back to this Arctic Frost case. That was the FBI case that was opened and approved by the anti-Trump agent called Agent Theobald, Timothy Thibault. The Arctic Frost case that was opened up by the FBI became Jack Smith's case, okay? Handed him the case file. And Jack Smith was supposed to be a special counsel, even though he's not even legitimate, not even a real boy, even though he wanted to be. He's not a real boy, and he's never going to be a real boy, Jack. So he loses, and before he even got the case, okay, it was all handed to him. He was supposed to come in and do his own investigation and be separate and apart, so it's unbiased and nonpartisan. They just gave him the case file. It was rigged. So the case, of course, these new records show that this investigation, according to Grassley, that he's releasing for us today, was much broader than just an electoral matter, okay? The case was expanded to Republican organizations. Some examples include the RNC, the Republican Attorney General's Association, and Trump political groups. They're very mad that Jimmy Kimmel got fired. Oh, yeah, because the market doesn't want to hear his garbage anymore. Nothing else. Some pressure from the FCC is where they're going to hang their hat on this one. Disney can fight back on that if they really wanted to. If it was worth saving this dude, Disney could say, well, we're going to defend his, you can't take our license for content, not neutral content. We need to defend ourselves and stand behind Jimmy Kimmel. But of course, they're not going to do that. So in total, Chuck Grassley is going to explain to us there were 92 Republican targets who were placed under the scope of this investigation by the corrupt FBI. On that list, Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. In other words, this wasn't just a case to politically investigate Trump. It was the vehicle by which partisan FBI agents and DOJ prosecutors could achieve their partisan ends and improperly investigate the entire Republican political apparatus. Now, we know that this was already going on. We were here. We're on the receiving end. Like, oh, all these lawyers are getting indicted over here. All these lawyers are getting indicted over here. Oh, all the J6ers, even the people who were tapped on the shoulder and invited into the Capitol, are now all being charged with trespass and parading in the Capitol. And they were manufacturing new charges about obstruction of documents that nobody ever saw before. They weaponized the whole government. So we saw the receiving end of it, but we haven't seen the spreadsheets yet. It's interesting. That's how they organized it. But it was a vehicle by which they could attack everybody. And so today, Senator Johnson, shout out, and I are making these records public for everybody to see. Now, we also have Navarro. Okay, so Navarro was also, there was some new information that came out on Navarro as well. But let's just get a little flavor of Chuck Grassley. This is what he sounded like when he was going through and announcing a lot of this.
Matter. The case was expanded to Republican organizations. Some examples of the group that Ray FBI sought to place under political investigation included the Republican National Committee, Republican Attorney General's Association, and various Trump political groups. In total, 92 Republican targets, including Republican groups and Republican-linked individuals, were placed under investigative scope of Arctic Frost.
Crazy. So they were going after everybody. It wasn't about just enforcing the law. It was a political attack on an entire party. They wanted to sideline and remove Trump from the equation, and this was their pretext to do it. They just made it up because they tried to, and it follows the same pattern. They also indicted him 4 times. The president, they tried to remove him off the ballot. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to sue him civilly and call him a sexual assaulter. I mean, they went full tilt to stop him. And now we're seeing it wasn't just him, and they were going after and trying to come up with reasons for anybody. And so here is the full document. Now you can see unclassified memo, courtesy of the FBI. This was dated back on January 23rd, 2023. Okay, so Biden is still in charge. They're going hog wild. They really need to ramp this stuff up because Trump's going to run again, and they're freaked because they got an invalid up there and a number 2 in Kamala. Like, oh gosh, this is going to be bad. So here's the summary, courtesy of the FBI. They say, investigation into the multifaceted conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election which is also, I think a misnomer, because we were trying to have a debate about the legitimacy of it. Okay, now you guys came out, and even when January 6th happened, remember Ted Cruz was like objecting in the middle of it. We object, and we got one guy in the Senate. We're gonna have one guy in the, let's just pause and can't do it. Couldn't even have the debate. So the process that we wanted to go into could never happen because January 6th ruined it. So that's what we were asking about. And they were also censoring us after the election. They said, you can't talk about this stuff. No. It's election misinformation. Ugh. They just rigged. And so we were all silenced. Nobody could talk about it. And so that caused, more concern about the legitimacy of the results. And our government needs to have legitimacy in order to function. If they don't have the legitimacy and the consent of the people, then it's just tyranny. Then they're just doing what they think that they should do, regardless of what the people have to say. So the people were there protesting. We had questions about it. And in the aftermath, we still have questions about it. We're still asking, why did the CIA help rig the election? Why did they create a fake document signed by 51 liars and then feed that over to the Biden campaign? And the CIA did that. They used, according to congressional reports, Mike Morrell was a contractor. He was one of the guys who organized it with the CIA, getting CIA money. They used CIA facilities, went there, wrote the document in the headquarters or in the buildings, and then they got approval from the CIA publication board in record time. They raced it through. And if the CIA was willing to do that, what else were they willing to do? Okay. So we've had a lot of questions about it. They covered up for all the Biden stuff. Hunter Biden got warned about his storage facility being searched, and they gave him a pre-warning so he could eliminate any contraband or evidence out of there and bodies or whatever he had. So, okay, we have questions about it. We're allowed to have questions about it. This is America. And even if we're wrong, we can have conversations about it. You can say, well, I think the election was rigged. Well, it wasn't. The facts show this. Well, my facts show this. You might think I'm wrong. Objectively, I might be wrong about something, even though it's really hard to prove something like an election, a national election. You just kind of have to accept the results on faith in many of these locations, is what we're told, because it's a disaster how they operate them. Even remember Jenna Griswold over from Colorado. No, our elections are completely safe and secure. Why are the BIOS passwords on the internet, Jenna? And when she wanted to remediate that problem, that catastrophic leak, she deployed a SWAT team essentially to go and update all of the machines, break the seal, update them, not put them back in for validation or retesting to confirm that the seal is good and everything inside is still functional so other parties can test it and view it. No, she broke the seal, voided the warranty, and then ran elections on them. So spare me, right, on any of this. It's not overturning it. We got legitimate questions about it, and I hope we get answers on that, man. We have to solve our elections. President Trump's talking about executive orders to end the mail-in balloting and all this fake nonsense that they created for voter enfranchisement that's now being exploited by illegal aliens and Democrat NGOs. The conspiracy, they write, which has all been proven to be true, most of it, involves subjects from the private sector in numerous battleground states, okay? Pennsylvania, where they want to win again, Michigan, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, New Mexico, and Arizona, the DOJ and the White House. They say, here's the background on this. Arctic Frost is a joint investigation between the FBI, the OIG, Post Office, National Archives. It was opened back in April 2022. They did all of the work, and then they gave it over to the special counsel, Jack Smith. And remember how they kept lying to us repeatedly about Jack Smith? They kept saying, oh no, Merrick Garland. Oh no, he's independent. No, he's special. He doesn't report to anybody. Oh, does he report to you? Well, kind of, right? Because he has to. But he was very coy about that. So they just were creating their propaganda, fake prosecution and handing it off to him so that he could provide cover for their partisan hackery. Now, here are the lines of efforts. Okay, this is what they're going to investigate in America. False fraud claims. If you are propagating false election fraud allegations, false according to them, or attempting to seize voting machines and ballots, false fraud claims. Now, that I think is an action. Like, okay, like if you're going to come in and break in and try to steal, voting machines or something, That's a crime already. You don't need to investigate. Did it happen? What does attempting to mean? What is that? You're going to charge them with an attempt crime? Go do it. But that's a crime. So what are you investigating? That's fine. But propagating false election fraud allegations, you're allowed to get on there and say, this is all rigged. This is my opinion. I think this is what actually happened. Allowed to do that. And you should not come under scrutiny by the FBI for this. False electors scheme. Scheme to have a false slate of electors or electoral college certificates submitted. And many attorneys were sued, and local legislators were sued and charged with criminal charges, not just civilly sued. False lawsuits. If you file numerous unsubstantiated fraud lawsuits, then they're going to come investigate you. Okay. That's what the courts are for. If one party is filing overly litigious lawsuits, the courts manage that. You don't need the FBI to go investigate that. That's not a crime to file a bad lawsuit. The courts just say this is a bad lawsuit and get out of here. So this was all related to the 2020 presidential election. And just compare, these are lawyers. Like, think about, they're trying to go and create these new networks to just root out all of the key players, the legal people, the marketing people, the online people, all the influencers, anybody who's providing funding, like Mike Lindell and those guys, come after all of them. And while all this is happening, they're ignoring Antifa. They're ignoring all the BLM violence. They've forgotten about the burning of Minneapolis in the 3rd precinct, forgetting all of that, because this is their big new push. It's the pretext to take out the Republicans. So state pressure. If you pressure state and local officials in battleground states to alter the outcome of the election, so you're allowed to put pressure on your public officials. That's America. That's the whole point. You can't do anything illegal, but you can send letters. You can make, peaceful phone calls that are non-threatening. That's the point of engaging. Will you guys investigate this? Please get off your butts and do something and look into why the courts, your state legislature, how come the courts took your power away from you under the guise of COVID? We have to change the election dates, the collection. We need more ballot drop boxes. More people can vote by mail. We're going to move all the deadlines back, and signature requirements can be waived or lightened up, all because of COVID. Courts don't have that power. Elections are scheduled by the legislature and managed by them. So how come that was being usurped? Can legislatures not have pressure from their constituents to go investigate these things? Obviously they can. But our corrupt FBI was corrupt. Now, false DOJ letter. And they're coming after Jeffrey Clark. An effort to have the DOJ send a letter falsely representing the DOJ had identified significant concerns related to this. It may have impacted the outcome. Now, additionally, an effort to install Clark as acting attorney general so that he could send the factually inaccurate letter. Okay, so our facts are better than your facts. You can already litigate this in the courts, which is where a lot of it was being litigated. And the president has the power to make these changes, had the power to make those changes. And so he can do that without scrutiny from the FBI. It's literally in the Constitution. He can make these changes and do these things. But they're going to investigate everybody for that. Pressure Pence and Eastman. Any attempt to pressure Mike Pence to reject legitimately cast votes of electors, I guess, is you can't communicate with another elected official called Mike Pence. Because Mike Pence is such a victim. He can't stand the pressure. We need the FBI to come in and investigate these. Also, allegations of false, misleading representation to raise money post-election. So if you just continue to say, if these guys were here, man, we would all be in gulags, okay? Because they would have come after us again, which they did the first time. Not criminally, but they silenced us as best they could. Allegations of false or misleading representation to raise money. So if you're running again and you say, hey, we have questions about the 2020 election, please donate to my campaign. The answer is you're a borderline criminal and you're going to come under FBI scrutiny. It's ridiculous. So here's what they did. Okay. This is the full pressure and the full weight of the government. So anytime they're coming out and they're like, you guys are canceling people. You canceled Jimmy Kimmel. Are you kidding me? First of all, the market did that. Disney did that. Go talk to Bob Iger if you're so upset about it. Don't scream about Donald Trump. But now they unleashed the entire whole of the government. They conducted over 150 interviews, just pressuring these people, man. You get the FBI showing up at your doorstep. It's not a good day. More than 50 additional interviews in the next 60 days. So they're just ramping this up because the election's right around the corner. They served over 400 subpoenas, 300 for witness testimony records, 200 selectors, and 20 financial subpoenas. And I am hoping, okay, that the Trump administration is playing with these same tactics. Go for it. And we have actual legitimacy. Okay, these people were engaged in conversations about an election. And they used January 6th as the violent pretext to go to unleash hell on one half of the country for the next 4 years. And how much damage was occurring on January 6th, according to the insurance and the property damages? About $2.7 million. And how much damage was impacted from the BLM Summer of Love from 2020 that Kamala Harris was endorsing and saying people should get out of custody, raising money so that the people who were arrested can get out and continue to do it? How much was that? $1 to $2 billion with a B, okay? An order of magnitude different. And did they go and invest? Did they do 150 interviews with those felons? No. They wanted to wage war on one side of the government, and they did that. So significant other investigative steps. They're also going after Mark Esper, and it costs money, man. You got to defend yourself. You got to get lawyers. There's an opportunity cost. Mark Meadows. Everybody gets sidelined, okay? So they can't play because they've got FBI investigations now. So the best players are taken off the field. And here's what they're going to charge people with. Yeah, attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. So the 1512C charges, which are illegal. False statements, what a joke. You're going to charge somebody with false statements for sharing an opinion about the election that you, the FBI, helped to rig. And also conspiracy to defraud the United States and wire fraud, okay? So this is who they went after. These people are such maniacs. Here, everybody. Banks, all the financial cases, and here's who they're looking for. So on this left column, you can see these are all going to be the banks. JP Morgan, National Bank, Chase Bank, all the things. But who owns the accounts is really what's more important. And here's what you can see. Save America PAC. We've got guys like Sarabian Belmont. You got Mitchell Meadows over here. And just a bunch of names. You can see a lot of them. The big ones, of course, this guy, Clark Pasatino. I believe that may have been Clavicle Girl's lawyer. Obstruction for what? Representing his clients? So it continues. Citizens United, Conservative Partnership Institutes. What are they investigating them for? Bogus investigations. That's their justification. They're looking into election fraud. They're not allowed to do that. They want credit reports. They want misappropriation from Brad Parscale. He was very effective with Facebook and the social media stuff in the first election, 2016, if you recall. So they went after him all over the place, all of his companies, just to make his life hell because he beat them. They're so mad at him. They have to stop him now. All these Trump entities for misappropriation, okay, whatever that is. And then, of course, Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA or Turning Point Action and everybody else. And it looks like they're coming after them for J6 money, right? January 6 money, evidently. So everybody, and it's not just Charlie. Look, it's Women for America, Blue Bonnet, Make America Great Again, Trump, Make America, all of them for just moving money around, for Venmoing somebody something to stop everybody. Sidney Powell, a lawyer, got hit. All the Trump victory funds, all for wire fraud. More Pascal. RNC's on the list. Clarkman, Eastman, Rudy Giuliani, their companies. And look, all these complete. We're going after scraping through their financial records, scraping through their lives so that we can try to find crimes for them. And they did. They charged many of them with crimes. And who knows how much of this they passed over to Big Fannie Willis or what went over to the New York Attorney's Office, Letitia, all the finance, ridiculous. It was like a full-blown scraping of everything they could get while they were in power, okay, because they're partisan monster maniacs. Now, they should all be prosecuted for this, I would think, for abuse of office. And I would like to see the current Kash Patel, an FBI director, creating lots of spreadsheets. And if they need help with that, they can reach out. I know there's some, actually, they should reach out to Data Republican. She'll help you with the spreadsheets. But that's what we want to see to root out these partisan hacks who were trying to criminalize lawful, legitimate opposition to a rigged and stolen election that was endorsed by the CIA, which is in the records. So that happened. Now, Chuck Grassley, he also releases more. He says, we also have Navarro. Remember, Peter Navarro was arrested on a tarmac at an airport, and I think in the tube at an airport. Says they also, in a court document filed by the DOJ, these lying FBI agents, they said that Navarro was combative when they served a subpoena to him. And then that initial interaction, so they come, they say, hey, we've got a subpoena for you. And during the delivery of the subpoena, Navarro was combative. We're going to listen to the audio right now, and you can see whether you think Navarro was combative. So they say, our first interaction with him was problematic. And basically anything's, usually combative for the FBI. If like somebody opens a window and there's a strong breeze and like, oh, I'm a little cold. I'm under attack because you're an FBI agent, because you're pathetic. So similar thing, he's combative, right? And then the interaction with Navarro, that was the pretext to arrest him on the tarmac. The dude's like in his 70s and like he's going to be a dangerous, violent person. So they put him in handcuffs in an airport when his lawyers would have just walked him in there. That interaction with Navarro was used as justification to arrest him. Then we got the Durham and the Clinton Annex. They show that the FBI was rigging everything. We got 2 additional documents, and they're also releasing more documents about the Biden crime family. Now, all in all, the whistleblowers have been doing great work, and so thank you, Cash, for helping settle deals with them. Now, here was the audio from Peter Navarro, and I have this queued up. About the first 3 minutes are these feds bumbling around with their microphone, probably, packing up their donuts and getting out of the car. Takes them 2 minutes to get out, get out of the car. Okay. Then they come up and here's what they sound like.
Sir, I just want to make sure you know you're speaking to an FBI agent. Can you see my credentials? They're held up to the...
Let's back up. Outside Peter Navarro's house.
All right, what's this about? Yes, sir. So, first of all, can you see my credentials so you know you're talking to an FBI agent?
What's this about?
Sir, I just want to make sure you know you're speaking to an FBI agent. Can you see my credentials? They're held up to the peephole.
Just tell me what this is about.
Okay, sir. We're, myself and my partner here, Sebastian Gardner, we're 2 special agents of the FBI. We're investigating some matters relating to the January 6th Select Committee. I'm wondering if you... no, sir, we don't have a warrant. We do have a subpoena for you. I was wondering if you had a minute to speak with us.
No.
Okay. I have a grand jury subpoena, sir, for you to produce some records. Do you want to open the door or you just want me to leave it out here?
Leave it out there.
All right. Get your camera. Sir, it's right here on your front step. You've been served with a subpoena. Please, it's got my contact information in there. Please let me know if there are any questions. Can you go back to your room, sir? Oh, you live in this one? Okay, go.
Okay. Did you hear anything combative in there? It's like a minute long. They walk up, knock on the door. You can hear Peter Navarro on the inside saying, what's this about? I'm an FBI agent. Okay, what's this about? Well, I just want you to know I'm an FBI agent because I'm super strong and powerful. Look at my credentials. Look how cool I am. I'm serving subpoenas for Benny Thompson and Liz Cheney, 2 illegally constituted leaders of an illegal committee called the J6 Select Committee, which didn't even follow their own rules. HR 503 said it needed to have a certain amount of members. I think it was 13, 8 from the majority, 5 from the Republicans. And they didn't do that. They just cut it down to 9. And then Nancy Pelosi appointed the 2 Republicans, so-called, to make it a bipartisan committee. The whole thing was a hack job. And it wasn't even following their own House rules. They sued in court to say they make them follow their rules. And the court said, we can't do it. It's Congress. They can do whatever they want because it's a separation of powers issue. And so they did. They did whatever they wanted. They had total power. They rigged the entire thing. They had a propaganda, 8-set series that was pathetic. that was all engineered by, ABC news producers or, documentary producers or something like that. It was not anything other than a set of show trials. And then they arrested Peter Navarro, put him in shackles outside the airport because he just said, leave the subpoena on the front door. No, you're not coming in. You have a warrant? Peter says, no. Okay, go. It's like perfect interaction. They said that was combative. They went back to their car, both those agents, like, can you believe he treated us like that? You know, we're FBI agents. He should show some respect. Peter Navarro was combative at me. Get some gonads, for crying out loud, you FBI agents. So pathetic. Actually, we know what they're doing. That's just a pretext because they wanted to humiliate him outside of the airport and turn it into a media spectacle. President Trump also commented about this. Says, why was the wonderful turning point under investigation by deranged Jack Smith and the corrupt and incompetent Biden administration? They tried to force Charlie and many other people in movements out of business. They weaponized the Justice Department against Sleepy Joe Biden's political opponents, including me, the president. They allowed the daughter of a judge, Judge Juan the Khan, to run one of the most corrupt trials against me, to become the biggest fundraiser for Biden and Kamala. Remember his hack daughter was working with that Democrat fundraising operation? Like, no, it's not a conflict of interest. No. But my daughter was writing Facebook ads that were about her daddy's indictment and arraignment of President Trump, raising funds for pencil neck Adam Schiff. Remember? They allowed the daughter of her to make money. Daddy was indicting Trump. Daughter's raising Democrat funds off of it. Sick. Making many millions of dollars for herself and her family. But with her father, the judge, not only refusing to recuse himself, but also putting a gag order on me, not allowing anyone to talk about his lib hack daughter and about their family corruption and unprecedented conflict of interest. This is judicial due process. How much due process did Trump get in any of these trials? None. Every leading legal analyst and pundit said this trial was wrong and should not have been allowed to go forward with a clearly conflicted judge. But it did because of a corrupt judge. Judge Juan the Khan Merchan, acting judge from New York, will hopefully pay a very big price for his illegal actions someday. We sure hope so. Now, Peter Navarro was happy about this. He came on and he says, yeah, it's very nice to see some of the truth come out, that I was not combative at all, and that these FBI agents are just bona fide liars.
Peter, the way you were treated is just shameful. He also released a tape of the conversation that you had when they showed up at your door with the subpoena. What's your reaction to all of this?
Well, I want to thank Senator Chuck Grassley and his staff for getting to the bottom of the weaponization of our government. Certainly, what's been uncovered about me just puts an underscore of the fact that I was a political prisoner. Everybody involved in my imprisonment was a Democrat. Everyone involved. And Chuck Grassley's uncovering it. But more importantly, I was just part of a broader pastiche, if you will, of the worst political attack on our presidency in the history of this country. If you look at the FBI agent Giardina, who put me in leg irons and exulted when I was indicted, that man was part of just about everything from the Steele dossier and Crossfire Hurricane to the Mueller report to Arctic Frost to Operation Crimson River. All of these were efforts. They were an insurrection. They were designed to get President Trump out of office when he was in. They were election interference. They were designed to stop him from being elected. And I'll tell you this, this is the age of accountability, okay? If we don't hold these people accountable, they'll do it again. Can you imagine Adam Schiff as the majority leader of the Senate, or Cory Booker as the majority leader of the House after that spectacle we watched with
Pencil neck Schiff thought he was going to be the CIA director if Hillary won. Could you imagine how doomed we would be?
Kash Patel, these people, they have no conscience. And Schiff himself, again, he lied to Congress. He was part of the hoax
censured too.
That he pushed. I mean, that guy should be investigated. And if we don't do this, Maria, if we don't hold these people accountable, if we don't hold them accountable, they're just going to keep doing it again. And that's why I'm talking about, continue to talk about my imprisonment. As you know, I went to prison so you won't have to. It's a book I wrote, and it's just a warning, Maria. It's a warning to everybody in America that if they can come for me and Donald Trump, put Steve Bannon in prison, bankrupt Rudy Giuliani, take away the law cards of Jeff Clark and John Eastman, and kill Charlie Kirk, and try to kill President Trump twice.
Unbelievable.
There's got to be accountability, because they're just going to keep doing it
Peter,
again.
You're right. You're right. I mean,
yeah, shout out to Peter, man. And that's a very nice statement. He shouted out Jeff Clark, who's also been through the ringer. And he said, you know, he was kind enough to show and to point out that I was also targeted, Jeff Clark, by Operation Arctic Frost. He also defends John Eastman, also put through the ringer, and spotlights the assassination of Kirk and almost attempted of Trump. He ties it all together, and it was a very nice statement. And he's exactly right about this. It's kind of basic, you know, cause and effect. If you can continue to wage war on your political opponents, and there's no effect on that when you get caught or from the other side, then the other side's going to lose. So hopefully the Republicans now, you know, and the FBI, I don't know what Cash is doing. Hopefully they've got a bunch of Excel files open right now, man, and they're just filling out line after line with all of the big money that's flowing into the NGOs who helped invade our country over the last 4 years, all of the funding that's going to the domestic terror groups called Antifa, and the entire cabal of the lawyers who are funding and funneling money into the other corrupt entities like the courts and the prosecutors. And if they're going to prosecute people for filing false claims and fictitious claims or overly litigious complaints, thank you for that precedent. We'll be very happy to use it against you. All right, so good stuff on that one. Now, let's turn our attention over to this story. Oh, gosh. Yeah, here we go. From the Daily Mail. Charlie Kirk's assassin was apparently into some bizarre stuff. We've got this report about his furry kink or endeavors that he was engaged in prior to his assassination of Charlie. Now, the Daily Mail got the exclusive on this, and they're explaining that Tyler Robinson actually was online playing a video game called Furry Shades of Gay. Okay, this is what it looks like. I guess over on your local Steam portal. Furry Shades of Gay. And here's what they found. They write on this one that he was arraigned on 7 charges, but his online accounts, which were just uncovered by the Daily Mail, show the alleged assassin had an interest in gay porn involving humanoid animal characters called furries. An account linked to Robinson on a gaming platform, Steam, shows he downloaded and played a dating simulator game called Furry Shades of Gay. The game describes itself as being about love, queer relationships, hot gay sex, and slapstick humor. Get ready for 24 hot animated voiced sex scenes. What? There's games? A December 2020 profile for the game says on Steam. Robinson played this gay game, Furry Shades of Gay, enough to earn a prize. He got an uncommon sticker of one of its cat human characters who dresses as a French maid, listed on his Steam account. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. He's like, oh, it shows that? Robinson used the account. Honestly, I don't think that they're even ashamed of any of this. It's like part of a culture. It's like, you should accept this. You should like it too. If they're doing these things, how dare you shame them? How dare you make fun of them? You have to accept this, okay? So what if they want to do this stuff? It's fine. They can do it. I'm not saying like put them in jail or anything, but of course we can shame. I think we need to bring a lot of shame actually back into our society because there's people are doing shameful things. So Robinson played Furry Shades of Gay enough to earn a prize, an uncommon sticker. He also used the account Craftin247 on various websites. And I guess they're going to say this is like a right-wing concept like gay furry sex is like MAGA or something, they'll probably try. So the homoerotic furry game. Okay, here are these two creatures. Oh, I didn't know you had a dominant streak. I'm all yours, says these freaking animals. So they go, there is an account by the name on this website called furaffinity.com. Don't go there. A website for people with a proclivity for humanoid animal illustrations and dressing up in fur suits who call themselves furry. Now, last week, Tyler Robinson's Craftin 24/7 account, the Charlie Assassin, he's got an account over there, Fur Affinity. Do these people have animals? Do they have dogs? Do they have like actual, dogs in their homes? Said he recently watched content created by a user called Red Rusker, an artist known for gay furry porn. But Red Rusker went too far for even the furries. In fact, Red Rusker, so he's following this dude, Red Rusker was embroiled in a scandal among the niche community when underage cartoons he had drawn resurfaced. Yeah. One depicted a large, older humanoid animal using recreational drugs to have sex with a small, younger humanoid possum called Snack, labeled as being age 8 in the depraved comic. Okay, so it's a proxy for pedophilia. A redacted image viewed by the Daily Mail shows one older character saying to another, and by the way, they're putting this crap in like books for kids. They want your kids to see, not even the furry stuff, but just kind of like, this is how you do certain things with other boys or whatever. A redacted image viewed by the Daily Mail shows one older character saying to another, "Popper him up for me, it'll help," referring to giving drugs to the 8-year-old possum. Furries call the pedophilia-related content. Wow, they call it cub, okay? Oh, gosh. They call it cub porn. The furry community. In a May 2023 post on Fur Affinity, Red Rusker admitted, "There was art that I made that depicted underage characters, and there's about a dozen pieces or so in total." And this is who that dude was watching and liking his stuff, apparently. Here you go, from Craftin 24/7. Ugh. Gosh. Here's more from Red Rusker. I don't know what we're looking at here, but apparently he was following him. In his recent watch content, controversial furry porn artist Red Rusker was found. So Tyler Robinson was watching his stuff. This creator was heavily scrutinized when underage stuff came up. And here's the photo of it with the 8-year-old Snack cub. He said he felt guilty as F about it. And he says, "I won't draw it again." Now, his more recent cartoons posted on his Patreon include pieces from 2023. Now, they still depict large humanoid animal characters. Like, his problem is he admitted the age. He's like, you can't say that they're 8. Just draw them so they look like they're 8. But don't say that they're 8. Just say that they're cubs. And nobody knows. Like, just call it dog ears. They still depict large humanoid animal characters having sex with much smaller, boyish-looking characters. Okay, it's a proxy for pedophilia, and this dude was into it. One sickening picture depicts a dog character performing a sex act on a horse. Like, it's just degeneracy, man. Robinson also appeared to be with another porn artist making deviant cartoons. Steam account linked to Robinson lists the other user called Obure among his friends. Robinson left a comment on that dude's profile January last year, saying, he wrote, "He beats me when mom goes on her work trips." Obure's profile contains several cartoon furries, says the user is from Minnesota. Obure has also used the name Good Boy on the account. Now, another previous profile picture on this other account, Obure, is a photo of a young man wearing cat ears and a face mask with a cat mouth and whiskers printed on it. It's unclear if it's him or not. And what are these? His username is also linked with deviant art, which looks like big, giant, pregnant fat women or something. Gaming platform Bungie. Oh, I gotta be careful. Like, I just keep scrolling. Like, what's coming next over here? Gosh. Okay, so gaming platform Bungie also lists the user, and it includes sexualized comments depicted women with overly proportioned bellies 2 or 3 times the size of their bodies asking to be fed. Got 1.3 million views. Oh my gosh. We need Jesus back like now. All right, so that's what's going on over there. And you can see that there's a bunch more reports on this. So this is Tyler Robinson, and there's a whole community of this, and it's just proxies for pedophilia, ultimately, is what it is. Now, someone else who's also in close proximity to this, which is interesting, is this guy, George Zinn, the guy who said that he actually conducted the shot. And this reminded me of another, incident with Kyle Rittenhouse when he shot 3 people, and I'm pretty sure like all 3 of them were criminals or somehow connected. One of them, I think, was a registered sex offender. The other guy's like accused of abuse, and like it's like criminal records for all of them. So same with this dude. And this guy, as you recall, he got charged with 4 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. And so you start to see these coincidences. You start to ask yourself, was there a group of furry pedophiles there who were, attending this event together for some reason? So strange things happening. So it's trans, he's liking artists who make images of sex with young dogs or whatever. Have we heard from PETA on this? Are they concerned about this at all? Are they asking if they have dogs in their household? Maybe they should be. Where's PETA when you need them? So we saw that. Now we also had this photo. Candace Owens released this photo on her show yesterday, and you can see this screenshot is directly from her show. So it's what she published. You can see her watermark down there in the bottom right, kind of hard to see, kind of washed out, but it says Candace down there. So she posted this, and a very interesting reveal. She explained that she got this in her tip email, and they looked into it, tried their best to validate it, but it's from the internet, ultimately, is what it sounded like. And we're asking ourselves about Tyler Robinson, the furry-loving assassin who likes underage boys and trans dudes, was apparently, according to Candace, in Dairy Queen. And he was doing this just minutes after shooting and killing Charlie Kirk, is the allegation. And I would encourage you to go watch her full show for more on this because it's her story. But here is the photo that was released. A lot of people looking at it, asking questions about it, kind of asking, well, why was he obviously, changed his clothes? If this is the same day, did he change his clothes? Are there how many pairs of changes of clothes did he bring? So did he come to the university on that day with one outfit, change, get on the roof to get in the black outfit, and then change again into a third set of clothes? Or does this set of clothes also match the original set of clothes? So, right, he just swapped from black back to the red. So she shares it. It's from Dairy Queen. She also is pointing out that they looked up the Dairy Queen where they think it came from. It's about 15 minutes away from the shooting location. And, now we're asking about the timeline, because then we see him re-engage with his trans lover. And then soon after that, he's turning himself in. So did he just stop off for a blizzard or what? So that photo came out, right, capturing a lot of attention. People are asking questions about the photo. People wondering, has this been authenticated at all? And in fact, there was another person who had some interesting points on this. First of all, they threw it into an AI generator checker, and they said, yeah, it's probably comes from AI. And I don't trust those things a lot, to be honest with you. I think that you can put real photos in the AI checkers and it'll still just say, yeah, it's, AI, whatever. But here is another good, I think, point on this. He also says the image is AI generated. Okay. 9/11 veteran over at Colt Fan 37 responding, saying, not only wouldn't you have these types of strong shadows across his face and shoulder because there's fluorescent lighting everywhere, but the movie poster for the Superman is from July, just as the promotional deal for what he ordered was ended in August. Okay, so I'm not a Dairy Queen connoisseur, so I don't know. Did they leave the posters out for a long time? Is that timing and that date accurate? Was the Superman, even in theaters right now? I don't even know. So some things to ask, right, and to validate. Is it an old photo? Is it actually of him? Did somebody just, mash something up? I think the shadow thing, the lighting is definitely a little interesting. And if we go back to the original that came from Candace's show, The lighting on the face is interesting. It's kind of like if there was that strong of a light right there. I mean, that's a pretty big shadow, right? That whole thing. It's like, why is there no more shadows over here on the bottom right? So interesting photo. Who knows what is actually going on there? But Candace got it, and she's trying to figure out how or if it plays into anything. So we're sharing it. So, keep your wits about you, obviously, as stuff is being shared, because who ultimately knows? And we're always asking about chain of custody before the material gets to us. Who touched it? Who perverted it? Where did it come from? What's the source? But that came over from Candace, and it's capturing a lot of attention out there on the interweb. So I just wanted to share that with you. Now, while all this is going on, while the Democrats are celebrating and salivating over Charlie Kirk's death, many of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, we have Edwin Ferguson. He's a board member over at Palm Beach County School Board. So he helps to set policy to teach the youth of America about how America works. And other things. I mean, we should be about how America works in many instances, but it's not. It's usually about how, transgenderism works. But let's hear what this guy has to say.
Good. But I also want to speak to our African-American brothers and sisters as well. And the reason I want to do that is because in these last couple of days, I've received a number of contacts in regard to concern about teachers who are fearful of losing their teaching certificates because of this comments that they made in regard to a gentleman by the name of Charlie Kirk, who until the last week I knew nothing of. But in researching him.
Have you been in a coma? Are you engaged in American politics at all? The dude was everywhere. So do you even have any idea what's going on?
Let me say this. So there's a letter that came from the DOE to the superintendents, cautioning all superintendents to caution their staff to be careful about what they say, because they could ultimately lose their teaching certificates. Because if students and parents feel that the comment of the teacher somehow makes them feel bad.
No, unsafe. Not just bad, unsafe. If you're celebrating somebody dying, then that is a sick thing for anybody to have, let alone a teacher. Why do you want them teaching your kids that murder is okay? You don't. Or thinking that maybe you should be murdered if you're a student. I don't even know how you're sitting in college, many people, because many college students are saying, we want more dead fascists. You're like, I'm sitting right next to you. It's like third period. What are you talking about? I believe in the same things Charlie Kirk does. You want me to be shot in the neck? They're like, yeah, actually, yeah, we do. So it's not just feeling bad, you big babies. Call it what it is. And the school is being very, I think, proactive, actually. And the lawyers are like, hey, just remind them, okay? You can make your free speech known, but you can't say things that are going to endanger other students.
Then there could be some consequences and repercussions on that. And so my thought was, I looked at the statutes and the administrative rules that were referenced in this September 11th letter from DOE, and I'm thinking, unless you as a parent or you as a teacher feel bad because I as a teacher don't miss a racist, a racist bigot at that,
That's not what's happening, okay? We're not asking the teachers to come out. These people are such liars. It's really pathetic. We're not asking the teachers to come out and hold candlelight vigils in their classroom, psycho. We're asking them not to indulge in murder.
See how you're going to be at risk of losing your teaching certificate. No.
We're not saying that they have to do what you guys did for George Floyd and have everybody take a knee all over the world and have everybody put up the fake BLM flags all over the place. And I think that one of the BLM ladies just got indicted, or she's taking a plea deal for, I think, like a bunch of fraud. So, anyways, that's a separate topic. But everybody had to comply and honor, remember, George Floyd. It's not enough to just not be a racist. You also have to be anti-racist and make your whole life about saving the minorities of America, who are self-defined in many instances. So what we see from this guy is he's creating a giant straw man ultimately, and he's trying to say that nobody's forcing the teachers to hold vigils. Nobody's forcing Charlie Kirk memorials to be painted on the sides of school buildings or any of that, like you guys did with George Floyd. So he's just mad and calling him names now because I guess maybe if Charlie Kirk was a crackhead who was in the middle of committing multiple crimes and had about half dozen different drugs running through his corroded heart that was filled with plaque and suffering from hypertension and arterial sclerosis. How come Charlie's not getting the same love and adornment? Well, that's because Charlie was none of those things.
We talk about the Holocaust. I've yet to hear a person of the Jewish faith say that I miss Adolf Hitler. He said a lot of toxic things that were very undermining to society at large, and we want to never forget that, and we want to be better than that. The things that I've heard from this gentleman, Mr. Kirk, as it relates to the black experience here in the country are definitely things that would make me say,
what did
hey,
he
I'm
say?
sorry that he's died, that he passed away, but he did not use his voice effectively. So that's my 2 cents on that. So teachers, say what you need to say, but just be respectful and don't say it in a discriminatory way against him or anyone else who might be offended. Thank you.
Okay, he should lose his license immediately if he has one, obviously. I mean, what kind of a ridiculous statement is that? You're calling Charlie Kirk Hitler, you psycho? So, I don't know what else to say about this guy. I think that he's a monster. He shouldn't be anywhere near the students. He's a liar, first of all, and he didn't even give us an example. What was he talking about with Charlie's a racist? Give us what he said. What did he say? What did you hear him say that's so offensive to you as a black man in America that Charlie Kirk said that was so racist and bigoted? Give us one statement. It's about the Civil Rights Act. A lot of people have a debate about that. And how has the black community done after the Civil Rights Act? Okay. Many people, even on the black community side, would say not great based on the current environment. So anyways, this is an actual debate, but he's going to call him Hitler for having a political debate in America. Absolutely ridiculous. So hopefully something is going down in Palm Beach County, and this guy is removed for violating their policies, which are not to condone murder. Okay. Saying Charlie Kirk is basically like Hitler, and Hitler's dead and deserved to be dead. So Charlie Kirk deserves to be dead too. This guy hopefully is gone after a short time. Now, we also saw they're not alone. Okay. This is a real thing. So anytime the Democrats, the reason I share this stuff with you is not to indulge in it or to, just issue rage pellets to all of us. Cause every time I see one of these, I feel enraged, but this is what's actually happening. Okay. So we're sharing it because it's who they are. And they are now doing this little goofy, I'm so disconnected from any of this political violence. I had no role in it. I'm innocent. All we were trying to do is just have conversations. And now we should all turn the volume down. Okay. After we just murdered somebody who you guys all love, now we should turn it down. Got it. Well, actually, no, there should be consequences to your side. I'm not saying violent or physical consequences, but there should be consequences for what you have done, what you're endorsing. And we're not seeing large swaths of Democrats come out and condemn this behavior. They're not. It's the Republicans who have to come out and say, that was inappropriate. This is egregious. Cops are walking with these dudes as they're walking down the street screaming, F Charlie Kirk, spit on your grave. Okay. How do you make peace with these people? How do you turn down the volume when this is what they're doing? It's very hard to do that. So we have to understand the reality of the times we're in. It's not the old world, Mike Johnson, where everybody was just like trying to get along and have civil conversations. Charlie was trying to do that and they shot him in the neck. So of course we have to hear from Erica Kirk, and she will be speaking this weekend at Charlie Kirk's memorial in Arizona on Sunday. We will be in attendance. And if you're there, we'd love to see you. We also had Megyn Kelly hosting the show yesterday, and she was asked and talking about Erica Kirk, and here is what Andrew Klovitz had to say in response to that.
There's a question about who's going to lead the team going forward and who's going to lead this enormously important organization. And I understand you have some news on that front.
Yeah. Since everything has happened, I think the number one question is what is going to happen with Turning Point? What is going to happen next? And I'm pleased to be able to announce with you, and I think it's appropriate because of who you are and who this person is, that the Turning Point board has unanimously selected Erica Kirk as the new CEO and chair of the board. And not only is that amazing in and of itself, but I can assure you, Megyn, that Charlie told me personally, and he told others, he probably told Mikey, that if anything ever happened to him, that this is exactly what he wanted.
Wow. I have the chills. It had to be, right? I mean, I don't think anybody would accept a leader of the organization who they didn't feel completely understood Charlie and would be 100% dedicated to fulfilling his vision for where this group is going.
Well, and let me just add one more thing, and I want Mikey to chime in here as well. But in the immediate hours afterwards, Erica got a call from somebody very important. I'll leave that vague out of privacy, but she got a call from somebody very important. And the question was, what do you know? Sort of asking how much of what's going on behind the scenes and with the relationship, like, what do you know? And her reply back was, everything. I know everything.
Let's go. Good. And we want, hopefully in time, to learn more about that. So she'll be speaking this Sunday, and we're excited to pay our respects to Charlie and to support his family and everybody. And the Senate is doing the same. They say here, courtesy of Eric Doherty on X, saying the U.S. Senate also just unanimously established in the Senate the October 14th day as the National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. Boom, right there. Recognizes Charlie Kirk for his contributions, encourages educational institutions and more to do the same. And that's a nice show of respect. Now, we also have a battle happening in Congress, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene was getting into it with Jasmine Crockett Fulov, who's another congresswoman. And here is how this exchange went back down as it relates to Charlie.
Looks like Yahoo News. It says Charlie Kirk suspect's grandma says family is all MAGA.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes Ms. Green from Georgia.
Mr. Chair, member out of UC as well.
We'll recognize you next time. Chair, Ms. Green, it's your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can assure you that the 22-year-old man, Tyler Robinson, that murdered Charlie Kirk is not MAGA. His family may be Republican, but all of the evidence that is being presented proves that he is a far leftist, very much integrated in online groups that are linked to Antifa. He was in a relationship with a biological male, so-called Furry, whatever that is transitioning to be a fake woman. He was not MAGA, not one bit. That is a complete lie, and it's an insult to every single Republican and person that identifies with those type of politics. We will not tolerate it, and that is the exact type of language that is getting many of us death threats day after day, and led to shootings on the baseball field where Steve Scalise was shot. This is what led to President Trump nearly being assassinated this past summer. This is what has led to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. And so I just want to give a warning there. We're not going to tolerate that anymore. You know, something else we're not going to tolerate is crime.
Let's go, Marjorie. Laying down
Looks like
the
Yahoo
truth
News.
For Jasmine Crockett, who can't understand the distinction between a family and a son. Two different entire human beings, bunch of family members, and a separate person who is clearly a leftist. Now, President Trump came out and he says, we're not just going to stop there, okay? We're going to look at these furry networks and all these PDF files and all of the Antifa lunatics and more, courtesy of this interview over on Fox.
They have signs and they're all professionally made. Real protesters make them in their basement. And they're all the same.
So who's behind it? Do you have a gut feeling?
You hear Soros. I don't know. We're going to find out if he's behind it. But it's incitement to riot. That's a criminal act. And people are dying because of it. So it's really, it's death. So we're gonna find out. And it should have been done a long time ago.
All right. Hopefully we see some progress on that soon enough. But as it stands, now we know that this dude was a furry freak show, and a lot of it had to do with underage individuals, underage animals, cubs, okay, which we know what they're thinking when they're engaging in this degeneracy. So we'll see where it goes. We see some interesting connections with George Zinn, also charged with exploitation of minors. And so maybe this cabal of PDF files is broader than we thought. But we'll keep our eye on it and be there Sunday to celebrate and remember Charlie Kirk. All right, we got one more update, my friends. And then we'll hear from you. Ilhan Omar has got to go. Nancy Mace, U.S. House Representative, is commenting on what President Trump said on Air Force One. And she says, expel, denaturalize, and deport, right in that order. So you impeach her, remove her from Congress, get her out, denaturalize her for her fraud. And remember, I know it makes people uncomfortable to think about removing someone's U.S. citizenship, but if you got your citizenship on false pretenses and you committed fraud in exchange for that citizenship, you don't get to keep it, okay? Just like any other contract in the world. So if she did that, then it's time. Now, here's what the president said. We'll go into some aftermath on this because the House is duking it out, but here is what President Trump said about Ilhan Omar.
I think she should be impeached. I think she's terrible. Is she originally from Somalia? Yes, sir. So how are they doing this? How's their government? Do they have a president? Do they have a council? Do they have anything? Do they have police? I love these people that come from a place with nothing. No anything. And then they tell us how to run our country. No, I think if she got censured, that's great. If she got impeached, that's even better. They impeached me twice for nothing.
Yeah.
And they impeached me knowing the Republicans are on my side, so they knew it was just, but they impeached me twice. She should be impeached, and it should happen fast.
Get her out of Congress and, according to Nancy, get her out of America. So this turned into a censure battle, and a lot of it came out and came to a head when a Republican called Corey Mills joined the Democrats to not censure her for comments like this. Dustin Grage got this clip for us, almost 2 million views over on X, saying that Ilhan said this in this meeting. I do believe those of you interested in rewriting this hateful man's history are full of crap. Everyone stands up and cheers her because this is their party.
I do believe those of you who are interested in rewriting this hateful man's history are full of shit.
Thank you.
Okay, so she hates Charlie Kirk, calls everybody who likes Charlie Kirk full of crap, has had no love for his family or for the grieving America at all. Just says, you guys are liars. You don't even like Charlie Kirk. You're all full of crap. You're just making stuff up. No one likes, shut up, sit down, get out of here. And her constituents, we love you, Ilhan. Yeah, no more fascists, because they're brainwashed idiots. So we now know where they stand. And of course, there's going to be a lot more of this, no doubt about it. Trump commented about Ilhan. He said, Ilhan Omar's country of Somalia is plagued by a lack of central government control, persistent poverty, hunger, resurgent terrorism, piracy, decades of civil war, corruption, and pervasive violence. 70% of the population lives in extreme poverty and widespread food insecurity. Somalia is consistently ranked among the world's most corrupt countries, including bribery, embezzlement, and a dysfunctional government. Now, all of this, and Ilhan Omar, who was just there like yesterday, comes over here and tells us how to run America. And P.S., wasn't she the one that married her brother in order to gain citizenship? Uh-oh, that sounds like fraud. What scum we have in our country telling us what to do and how to do it. It is scummy. Thank you for your attention to this matter. You're welcome, Mr. President. Make America great again. Yes, indeed. And so here's what Trump is talking about. This apparently is the former prime minister of Somalia. And he says, we need her in American government. Okay, a lot of foreign countries want their assets in our Congress, and Somalia's got one.
It is very important in Ilhan tayo Somali tayo meeshas lagu jirto. Qofki Soomaaliya oo aragtidiisu tahay nin madow ha qaato kursigaas ama qof cad ha qaato qof moralkiisa ka kaalisiiyo. Marka taasna waa lagu dhiri sababtaan arrinkan ugu soo celinaya shaqada Soomaalida oo u sheegay live iyadoo ah idinka iyo the community leaders Soomaaliyeed.
Yeah, so it's the name of Somalians, and he's happy that Ilhan is in America, bringing with her a little taste of Somalia. And here's a little bit more of what we've got happening in Minnesota. You can see 8 people were charged with wire fraud in this case, and Trump was also commenting about this. He said, this is curious. You know, does Ilhan Omar know these people? Are they from her wonderfully managed home country of Somalia? And if Somalia has so many problems over there, how come she doesn't go there and lead her people? Why does she have to bring them all over here and steal our country from us? Libs of TikTok says, breaking, 8 charged in massive Medicare fraud scheme, which resulted in $8.4 million that they are stealing from us. The individuals charged are Mokhtar Has Aden, Mustafa Dayeeb Ali, Khalid Ahmed Dayeeb, Abdifa Mohammed, Christopher, okay, there you go. Christopher, okay, it's like, Christopher Johnson, what are you doing here? No, it's Christopher Adesohi Falati. We got Emmanuel Al-Wamadi Falati and Assad Ahmad Adaw and Anwar Ahmad Adaw. All like just great Americans coming into our country, and I'm sure doing a lot of positive things other than stealing $8.4 million out of Medicare. So here you can see Minnesota became the first state in 2020 to leverage Medicaid dollars to help older adults. And now most of it is fraud, as far as I can tell. Yeah, it's about right. It's, basically how they do things. Analysts predicted the program would cost $2.6 million, but ultimately it's $42 million, and then $74 million, and then $104 million. In the first 6 months, the program paid out $61 million from to these thieves. The latest charges are another instance of alleged defrauding of the Minnesota program. Federal charges came out against all those dudes. Thompson said the defendants targeted vulnerable people, American seniors, many of whom were being released from drug or alcohol rehab. What a bunch of sickos. And signed them up to help them find housing. And then stole the money from the addicts. This level of fraud is staggering. Unfortunately, our system of trust but verify no longer works. Yeah, because you got to have a high integrity population if you want that to work. Department of Human Services, which administers the Housing Stabilization Services Program, said in a statement that the agency has been collaborating with law enforcement to root out fraud. And according to court documents, Brilliant Minds Services, they're all sitting around like, well, we're brilliant. They claimed to serve 350 people and that they owed $2.3 million, okay, that they were entitled to bill. But the company only provided a fraction of their services. Yeah, each of the 4 defendants personally pocketed between $300 to $400 grand. Wow. Thompson's going to bring more charges coming soon, and it's just fraud through and through. And right over there out in Minnesota, here's more.
Throughout the state of Minnesota. Many of these companies operated out of dilapidated storefronts or rundown office buildings that were full of other fraudulent healthcare companies.
Yeah, and they did this with voters too. Remember, they set up shops and all these fake voter registration companies, and they're all getting paid and signing up all these people, blah, blah, blah.
Such as the Griggs Midway building in St. Paul. Rather than being general healthcare or social services providers, many of these companies were devoted exclusively to billing the Housing Stabilization Program. Today, we are charging 8 defendants for their role in this fraud scheme. 4 defendants, Mokhtar Hassan Aden, Mustafa Ali, Khalid Dayeeb, and Abdi Fattah Mohammed, are charged for their role in carrying out a fraud in a company called Brilliant Minds Services, LLC, which is a housing stabilization services company run out of the Griggs Midway building in St. Paul. Brilliant Minds and its owners received more than $2 million in Medicaid billings based on their fraudulent claims to be providing housing stabilization services. Defendants Christopher and Emmanuel Falade are being charged for their role in operating another fraudulent housing stabilization company called Falade Care. Together, they received more than $2 million and
Falad
Medicaid
care,
purportedly
which
for
is
providing
to care for the Falads with American taxpayer dollars. And I don't know much more about the defendants. Charges just got filed, so maybe we'll see if Homeland picks them up and deports them if they're not citizens or whatever their status is. But Ilhan Omar is continuing to castigate Charlie Kirk. She's continuing to facilitate foreign interests from Somalia in our own country. And she was up for a censure. Nancy Mace brought the censure forward, and one person called Corey Mills from Florida said that we're not going to censure her. He was one of 4 Republicans who didn't join, and so the attempt failed. Now, Will Chamberlain asked this question. Why exactly did Corey Mills refuse to vote to strip Ilhan? What happened here? And the question, of course, goes over to Corey. And so what Will said in response to this was, oh, now we know. He's under his own censure attack. He says Ilhan Omar is loathed by Republicans, and her comments about Charlie were terrible. This should have been pretty straightforward. You get censured for the comments like that. But Rep. Mills claimed that the First Amendment guided his concerns. He says, oh, no. We may not agree with what someone says, but that doesn't mean we should deny their First Amendment rights, is Corey Mills. Okay. Well, interesting. Now, one doubts this is the actual rationale, and we're pretty sure that didn't he vote to censure Rashida Tlaib? So it's like he kind of will do that sometimes. So anyways, one doubts that this is Representative Mills' actual rationale. For one, Nancy Mace claims that he threatened her over text last night, and she's the one who authored the resolution. Nancy Mace posted this. Said, this is pretty rich there, Corey. Coming from a guy who turned off commenting on his social media, this is rich. You voted to stifle free speech, to debate this resolution by voting to table. Massey didn't even vote to table. So that's saying something. And you also threatened me over text last night. And so maybe some personal reflection is in order. And Axios is reporting that it was a quid pro quo. The Democrats threatened to censure him because he's got a scandal going on right now with Miss America, something going on over there. And that the Democrats wanted to censure him for that. I think she's suing him. And he didn't want that to come up. So he just did a nice, even exchange working with the Democrats, which is pretty disgusting. Well, Axios reported yesterday that he had a plan. The Democrats had a plan to stop Omar from getting censured. They were just going to go after Mills. Axios says House Democrats are resting their strategy to defeat the censure by saying they're just going to censure Corey Mills. And it could work. The prospect of voting down one censure vote to avoid another will look attractive to the Republicans, and it did work. Corey Mills has a bunch of scandals, and all of them have been publicly reported on. Maybe he's worried about that, and seems pretty possible. Yeah, they say he assaulted his girlfriend. Public reporting, also pretty damning, police reports. So he's in the thick of it, as you can tell. But Corey made this video that he recorded on a potato explaining what he's saying. He says, we're not violating anyone's constitutionally protected speech and censuring to give any more fundraising and make Omar a martyr. Open an investigation, he says, into marriage fraud. Yeah, 8 U.S. Code. An Immigration Nationality Act violation or incest laws. Yeah, because you can't marry your brother. Then you have a reason if found guilty to expel and not just censure her. He says, I'm a constitutionalist. You can believe which way you want.
To censure Ilhan Omar. But let me first start out by dispelling some of the rumors that's been said online. Many people are saying that this was a vote for vote exchange, that if I voted no, that then they would remove my censure as well. But I'll remind everyone that this is the exact same retaliatory censure they tried to use during Representative McIver's motion to table, where I voted to go ahead and censure McIver because she not only was operating in her official capacity, wearing her lapel pin as a member of Congress, but was video of her obstructing and assaulting an ICE agent. Now, did I know that vote could potentially lead to my own censuring in a retaliatory but nonsensical manner? Of course I did. But that's a different thing than what we're talking about with the protection of free speech. I've also heard people say, well, Jimmy Kimmel has been removed. People are being fired from their jobs for their anti-Charlie Kirk rhetoric, and they have a right to do so. But employment law and constitutional law are two very different things. And at will state, I could fire someone for what they're wearing, what they say, how they wear their hair. But our Constitution was framed in a way to ensure not just to protect private citizen and private citizen, but to protect the private citizen from government. Your right to free speech, your right to protect yourself.
All right, so I don't know if he recorded that on a vegetable or what, but he published that from his own account. So, you know, sometimes you have an interview with somebody, right? And like you're in this like little box. Like if you try to clip my box, like this little box right here, right, and like expand it into a full video, it's going to look pixelated, but not that pixelated. So anyways, weird response. I think it's probably more of, you know, trying to avoid his own censure than anything. Nancy says, so Corey Mills says he defended ISIS sympathizer Ilhan's right to speak, but he voted to censure Rashida Tlaib, apparently, so also her. By his own logic, isn't that a direct violation of her First Amendment rights? So he just kind of picks and chooses. This one may have been to save his own butt. But Nancy Mace has just been going hard out there, and this was a fun one clipped over from April Spark. She goes off on the tease, man. Here's Nancy.
Transgender was a tranny. Come on, let's be honest about this.
That's disrespectful.
I really don't care because there are a lot of trannies out there that want me dead because I'm a rape victim who wants privacy in the bathroom. The trannies can F off. I don't care. They want to kill me, and they're not going to.
How would you like it if someone called you out of your name? If they called you a B word or any of that, how would you feel?
These people are calling me a cunt and all these awful names online. Are you kidding me? Come on. They are the most egregious, most vile, violent people on earth. They are mentally ill and should be in a straitjacket with a hard steel lock on it.
Man, when Nancy Mace hits, she hits. Yeah, a lot of truth in that statement. It's a very smart statement from her on this one. But today in Congress, we did have some good news and some pretty horrific news, all wrapped into one. Charlie Kirk now has a resolution passed in his honor, and 58 Democrats couldn't even tone the temperature down for 2 seconds. Couldn't even just chill out for 5 minutes and allow the political conversation to return to a normal state of whatever they want. Instead, they voted against this resolution because they hate Charlie Kirk. They've got no interest in negotiating or being friends. They're in a state of war. They're killing our people repeatedly. And this is more evidence. There cannot be a national reconciliation with people who want you dead.
It's just to honor the life of
Well, we just got some breaking news here, Chad, that Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democrats, the House Democrats, just voted yes. He's a yes on honoring Charlie Kirk, and AOC just voted no. So there is the divide right there within the Democratic Party on a resolution that really should be bringing everyone together. Thank you, Chad Pergram, live on the Hill for us with that breaking news. Let's bring in Shannon Bream now. Give us your take on, this is a resolution that is very simple.
On this vote,
very easy to understand, and there it is. It's final now. Let's listen in.
Voting present are 38. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
There it is. It has passed in the House, this resolution to honor Charlie Kirk. Shannon, your takeaway on this divide we're looking at right now on the House floor where Democrats couldn't move themselves to vote yes on this.
Well, and you've got several of them out there that are publicly saying that they think of Charlie's legacy as something much different than Republicans do. We talked about this with the speaker on Fox News Sunday, and some comments from Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who has said, you want to call people's bleep out on this. They're trying to rewrite his legacy and calling him a hateful person. Republicans will say, go watch his clips, the things he's being accused of, racism and bigotry and these other things. You'll see that melt away if you watch the conversations he had with people. They were uncomfortable, they were difficult, but he was laughing, he would hug people. They feel like he's been mischaracterized, and so for that respect, they say this is a resolution that everyone should be able to vote for. But you mentioned some of the key players like AOC, for example. We talked earlier about her potentially running in 28 or running for the Senate or running for the White House. So the party very much has to decide what it is moving forward. Is it more progressive? Is it more moderate? Is it establishment? I mean, this vote would suggest that there's really not a lot of common ground.
No, there's not.
Shannon,
they're on team murder.
To yours and Aisha's point, I mean, this was a very simple resolution. It's just to honor the life of a man who was assassinated. There's no strings attached here, yet you had 58 Democrats vote no against it, just to simply honor the life of a man who was killed on camera in front of the whole country to see. What does that say about where we are right now?
Yeah. It says that the Democrats want you dead, and they're not going to pause, and all of their fake promulgations of calm and temperature turning down and all that nonsense is just nonsense. They want you to shut up, because if you shut up, then they'll continue to just kill and roll over everybody. And use the FBI to investigate you and try to use hack AGs to take you down and bankrupt your company and throw you off ballots. And then they'll unleash hell on all of your cities because a crackhead died because his heart failed, according to the medical coroner in the George Floyd case. We now are seeing what they are. And that's what's pretty shocking about this whole thing. You realize, wow, they're a lot more horrific than we ever thought. We're going to keep our eye on this one. And we'll see if there is an investigation into Ilhan's immigration status and whether she committed immigration fraud. Because if she did, then she should not have the benefit of fraudulently obtained citizenship in America, nor should anyone. And hopefully we get to the bottom of that one. All right, my friends, if you're just joining us, it's been a beautiful early Friday stream. I hope that your week is coming to a nice and beautiful close. We just talked about the FBI and their targeting of Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. New documents are out from Chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, great senator over from Iowa. He walked us through what they were releasing, and we went through the documents. We saw exactly who they're targeting, why they're targeting them, and saw specifically that Turning Point USA is listed right here, and you can see it on that line number 8. So, read through that. We listened to the audio of Peter Navarro, who is now happy and celebrating that some of the evidence is coming out. They lied, the FBI agents, saying he was combative outside his door. He was not combative at all. And they used that as a pretext to put him in shackles in an airport because they're sick. Then we talked about this furry freak show situation, which is really disturbing, which in this case appears to be a proxy for pedophilia. And the Charlie Kirk alleged assassin was into it. He was playing video games. He was earning all the coins, the gay coins or whatever you get, furry coins. And he was liking content from another creator who draws regularly images of underage cubs, furries, having intercourse with adult men or adult cubs or adult dogs or whatever they are, okay? It's just a proxy for pedophilia. This dude was into it. There was also another dude who was into it who was there at the time called this guy, George Zinn. And we're wondering if there's a little, secret cabal of PDF files or something that is happening, because it's just strange when you look at Democrat anti-protesters or protesters or whatever, high propensity of degeneracy. And so we talked about it, learned too much about furries today. Talked about this photo that Candace Owens released and asked some questions about it. We'll see if there's more revealed on that, courtesy of her. We also listened to this apparently just sick school board member who was Edwin Ferguson, who was saying Charlie Kirk is basically like Hitler. And so teachers, just say whatever you want. You're not going to lose your licenses or your jobs. I hope they take his advice and they say what they really think, and they are full and forthcoming about it so we can know who they are, just like this guy. I hope they take his advice, and I hope we don't see him teaching kids ever again. We also had these people who I'm sure the Democrats will not condemn. I'm sure AOC will not come out to stop protesting and turn the volume down to this dude, because this dude is probably on Team AOC. We also saw that Erica Kirk, apparently, according to TPUSA, knows everything, and we're curious what that exactly means. Charlie Kirk's getting honored in the Senate. Marjorie Taylor Greene's beaten the heck out of Jasmine Crockett Fulov in Congress, and Trump is saying that we're not going to stop until we find out who is behind all of this, all of these webs of furries and PDF files and NGOs and all the things. We're going to get to the bottom of it soon. Trump also saying that Ilhan should be expelled from Congress, removed, and also hinting that maybe marrying your brother is not a proper way to get immigration status. Yeah, didn't she gain citizenship by marrying her brother? That might be illegal. Maybe it's time, as Nancy Mace says, to expel, denaturalize, and deport. We saw some of Ilhan's friends got indicted for stealing money from Americans, seniors, and drug addicts who are trying to recover to the tune of $8 million, now charged in Minnesota. And Corey Mills has found himself in the middle of a scandal and created a new scandal by seemingly engaging in a quid pro quo so that he didn't get censured as well. He released a potato video, so you can be your own judge on that one. But he's going through it right now. Nancy Mace is calling out the T's, and Charlie Kirk now has a resolution in his honor, and 58 Democrats voted against it because they want more of this. They don't want to say that, but they're not going to pause and tone the temperature down. They believe that Charlie was a bad, evil man, and they're happy and gleeful he's gone. Fortunately, the country that is not indulging in murder feels the exact opposite, and we have a resolution passed on the House floor to honor Charlie Kirk in spite of the murderous Democrats. But now, my friends, it's time to hear from you. And thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us on this early Friday stream. Thanks for liking this video if you're heading out of here, and subscribing if you haven't already subscribed, so that we see you the next time that we're back. Membos, stick around because we're going to do an after party, hangout, debrief, see what you have to say about it. And then we'll be back on the morning stream with Membos tomorrow before we head down to the Valley. We're going back down to Phoenix, Glendale, really. And we're going to be staying the night there right next to the stadium, and then heading over to the stadium bright and early so that we can make sure we can pay our respects properly. We'd love to see you there. And we may have some more information over at watcherlodge.com. I think I might post something over there in case some people want to coordinate or anything. But if there is something, we'll post it over there. You know, I guess let me know if you want that. But otherwise, we're going to be there. If you can't make it, of course, we're going to share your love, your prayers, and be hopefully good representatives of our amazing community. Thank you for being here and supporting us so that we can go do this stuff and make sure that we're paying our proper respects. So we're going to do that, my friends. But now it's time to hear from you, and let's see what you say about all of this and more. Hey, Jump Iva, you're in Tolleson? That's cool. It's right around the corner from there. And we got some donos coming in. These came in over courtesy of locals from Bucky's is Rome. Bucky's shared this one. Dear conservatives, I don't think even after the assassination of Charlie, you people realize what you're up against. They are now planning on using chemical weapons to take out your pets. And by the way, your kids also play in your yards that they're talking about poisoning. What is this? Rose City Antifa. Fighting is our number one enemy. They're going to try to kill your dogs. Don't let fascists and fascism spread. We're going to hit them. They're going to kill our dogs. They're going to kill our dogs. Okay, that would call, you're going to see an uprising if they even try it. So here you go. They're now wanting to kill your pets. The Republicans are in a war, whether you want to or not. You need to take these people more seriously and aggressively investigating them lawfully and legally, of course. This one, thank you for that, Bucky, says, it's amazing Congressman Omar from Somalia calls America's racist and a backwards nation when good people, died trying to feed her people. Yeah, well, she's not appreciative of any of that, obviously. Bucky's is Rome, thank you. Well, the Democrats aren't even hiding it anymore. On their podcast, they're now admitting they purposely taint the jury pools in D.C. And will Republicans ever do anything to stop them in the courts? Hey, the researcher, she's awesome, over on X, says Kia Chatterjee, one of the radical moron founders of Free DC, mentions they're intentionally tainting the jury pool. Yeah, we know that. I mean, we've seen it in practice. They had a George Floyd protester, a guy who went to a George Floyd protest, sit on the jury of Derek Chauvin and convict him. How is that a fair and impartial juror? It isn't. But no, they didn't care because Derek Chauvin was white. Bucky's is Rome, what's up from the president? You know, just 11 months ago, this man was working at McDonald's and was a garbage man. Remember? Now he's riding with the King of England to an actual castle. Never give up on your dreams. That's great. And that happened fast, man. Trump's like a phenom. He was saying, would you like fries with that? And now he's over in England saying, I'll have a cup of tea. Bucky's is Rome. NBC got bodied by Community Notes. Here's what NBC says. Judge orders Colombia activist to be deported to Algeria or Syria, saying he omitted information from his green card application. The court didn't allege that. They actually found him guilty of that. It's like it's an immigration. So it's like, I wouldn't say it's guilty because he wasn't charged with a crime, but he was actually found liable, right? And he's subject to removal now. Stating that Khalil willfully misrepresented material facts for the sole purpose. We read it yesterday. We read through the full thing. It was great. That judge called him out exactly, and they're totally freaked about it. Bucky says, I want everyone to remember this, and I want everyone to think about when Democrats get back in power. They are telling you what they're thinking of you. One of the dumbest representatives in Congress says, I'm meme, therefore I am, says that to honor Charlie Kirk's resolution, quote, brings great pain to millions of Americans, she says. Just to honor somebody who was shot in the neck, that causes them pain? What do you think getting shot in the neck does to everybody? Yeah, here's another one from Bucky's is Rome. Here's the leftist trans furry lover, who Jimmy Kimmel says is MAGA, says, you need to calm down. Meanwhile, forced jabs, shooting Trump in the ear, Daniel Penny getting arrested for trying to save somebody so that they didn't become like Irina Zarubka down here, who was sliced in the neck from some criminal who was repeatedly let out of jail. Charlie Kirk shot in the neck for trying to have a conversation, trying to calm people down. And so this dude says, no, I don't think I will. And I agree. I'm like, again, we've never encouraged political violence here, but like, stay calm, call for, you know, a toning down of the temperature or something. Tell your side that. Don't lecture us about it. George Soros says, we're holding vigils. You guys burnt down half the country, $2 billion in damages. Kevin Kiley says, George Soros just gave $10 million to Newsom's redistricting scam in case there are any doubts at all what this is all about. That's over from Kevin Kiley. He's in California. Bucky's is Rome. What's up? Corey Mills is a fraud and probably going to prison for stolen valor and for profiting from his stolen valor. Yeah, I mean, the allegations against him by his ex and all that, it's like, it's pretty gross stuff if it's true. Zone Girl, did you get a puppy? No, we didn't. But we have, he's like 3. He's 3. He's not a puppy, right? He's a real handsome boy. His name's Axel. All right, here's a photo. Let's see. Sure, I've got one. Because he's such a handsome boy. Look at this handsome boy right here. This is when we were at the dog park, I think this last weekend. This is Axel. This is who was knocking the camera around. That's the culprit right there. He's still under there right now, taking a little nappy right under my feet. What a handsome boy. All right, so thanks for asking, Zone Girl. More here, what's up? 20 membos coming in, courtesy of More Here. Great to have More Here, courtesy of More Here. We got Antonio Flores. What's up? Peggy coming in. Let's see. Gerald Campos, ME. We got Miss T. Waffle Salter is here. Mr. Meme, welcome. Peter Hans, what's up? To Two Diamonds in the Rough. We got NPD 911, Eli the Great, Wayner, Mike Cabral, Bam Bam in the house. We got the Kibosh, Sherry Lawlessness, Lotus Blossom, IE360, and Harley's dad, Tim S., Antonio Flores, and more. And Hugh Heffy and Elon, all gifted membos, courtesy of More Here in the house. Thank you, More Here, for bringing in even more here. D Cyber Dude, what's up, D Cyber Dude? Thank you for becoming a membo. And we'll see you on the after party. So YouTube friends, we'll have a new link and we'll debrief on the rest of the day. Off Label Podcast says, right next door at Off Label Podcast, says $10. Says Arctic Frost was behind the Tenet media attack. Interesting. Yeah, on the Tim Pool, Benny Johnson crew. Also, all Alabama residents, I will be highlighting blatant propaganda on your billboards paid for by your taxpayer dollars from Democrats tonight. Ooh, that sounds good, Off Label. So go subscribe to his channel because they're talking about propaganda billboards in Alabama, which we don't appreciate. Jeffrey Adams says Ruth is going to the jury soon already. Well, that was fast. I've been keeping my eye on that one. Very little reporting on Ryan Ruth right now, the other Trump assassin. And dockets are very light. And so far, what I've been seeing in the minute entries is it's just the government presenting their case. So I'm sure Ryan, the judge, either cut him off or he had nothing to say. Very little evidence to present. Interesting. Thank you, Jeffrey Adams. That guy's going to jail, prison. Just Rhonda. What's up, Just Rhonda? Good to see you, Just Rhonda. Purveyor of fine emojis in the house. Bringing in 10 membos. Thank you, Just Rhonda. Melanie Marino. Aaron. We got Donna Smith. Femme Natal. Polly P. Harry Thomas. Adorable Deplorable. Dana McMullen. And Lily Von Stoop in the house. Welcome aboard, Lily, and everybody. Thank you, Just Rhonda, for bringing in 10 new membos. You're amazing. Thank you for doing that. And for being a membo yourself. NY Renal says nothing has changed, okay? Democrats' problems with Republicans is that they simply do not support Democrats. They have a problem with Pence participating in politics. This far left ideology is dying and they are desperate to hold on to power. Yeah, they're not just handing over the reins of the federal government. They're using every single tool they have, just like they've always done, to keep and maintain power. But we're calling it out now. We can see it. So can America. Joseph Melandres. What's up, Joseph? Thank you, my man, for becoming a new member. We'll see you in the after party and on the Saturday stream tomorrow. This old guy. As someone who has had 2 FBI agents on my front porch knocking on my front door to, quote, invite me to an interview, I can testify that it's friggin' unnerving. Yeah. Yeah, man. It is. I mean, it is. And like I've had I'm a defense lawyer, so I've had people call me, hey, cops are outside my house, or call me, cops are literally outside my, car door right now. What do I do? You got to talk them through it. So yeah, it's a tense thing. People can't even react. That's why we have the 1, 2, 3 rule, the easy 1, 2, 3 rule. First rule, no. So first rule is I don't answer those questions. Okay. So it's very clear. Number 2 is no, not without a warrant if they're trying to get access. So if it's about information, I don't answer those questions. You have to answer some questions like, provide your ID and stuff in some states. Second rule, no, not without a warrant. If they want access to something, they may not need a warrant, but that's okay. They're just asking for you to give them consent and you don't do that because that gives them permission. And number 3, if you're under arrest, if you're being taken down anywhere else and you are thinking about your right to remain silent, don't worry about saying that per se. Talk about, I want a lawyer. That's rule number 3. Okay. So it's, I don't answer those questions. No, not without a warrant. And I want a lawyer. It's stronger than I'm invoking my right to remain silent because you can undo that. So Bonnie says, reminds me of the Kennedy and Johnson administration investigating MLK because they thought his movement was communist. Democrats sure have changed their platform, but not their tactics. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, those were both Democrats, Johnson and Kennedy. Johnson may have killed Kennedy. That's Democrats for you. And then Johnson made the comment about the Civil Rights Act. And he's like, we're going to have black people in Democrats' politics forever because of what we did here. So I think, and Charlie talked about that stuff. 200 watt studio. Thank you, Bonnie. They don't have pets, okay? They have 4-legged friends with benefits. Gosh. Somebody needs to call PETA, okay? They should get on that case. NY Renal, what's going on? I am Greek. My grandfather said in the old country, when they were watching the sheep, that some of the men liked to tame the sheep. They never came back to see their families. What are they doing with the sheep? They're not shearing them. Sharpie guy, OMG, Rob, you cannot unsee the Tyler Robinson stuff. And oh, how I wish I could unsee it. Disgusting to the 10th. I know. You're going to need some eye bleach. Yeah, I'm going to need some eye bleach. Here, look at this puppy again. Here, this will help. Look at this puppy again. Real handsome boy. Okay. This is a good, although he is furry, he is not a furry. Okay. So thank you. 200 watt studio. Do not look up furry chicken nuggets. I'm not going to. No, definitely not going. We got enough of the Phil and the furry thing. Learn all about it today. Learn everything we need to know. Oh, gosh. Thank you, 200 watt studio. We're going to need eye bleach showers. Mock Schnell, what's up? Arlene Wynn coming in. Mock Schnell bringing in 20 new members. Thank you, Mock Schnell. Look who's here. Arlene Wynn, Ridge Runner, welcome. Scooby Jew is here. Wow. Angela, oh yeah. We got Fiery Red Podcast. What's up to Betsy? The Mangeese. We got Sergeant Hulka's here. Eric Sandell. Delarfin, welcome. We've got James Lash, Mike P. Good to see you, Just Rhonda. Tony Yates. Amunet Amoon. We got Sea Travel. Holy F is here. Army Mac. What's up? Tommaso Patrick. Recovery Point Motorsports. We got Ryan Donegan and Annie Time. Gifted membos courtesy of Mock Schnell. Bringing in new membos. Thank you, Mock Schnell, for doing that. You rock. 200 Watt Studio says his favorite Western was Furry, Few Dollars More. So I don't know what that's referencing because I don't have a lot of experience with Westerns, which I should because I'm in a Western state. But I'm not sure what that's a play on, but it's probably hilarious. Joan, what's up? Woohoo! Joan, 24 months as a member. That's 2 full years and 2 babies coming up on 3. 9 times 3, carry the 1. Says 2. Woohoo! From Joan. Thank you, Joan, for being here for so long. We've been through some serious stuff together, no doubt. Thank you, Joan. What's going on? Sharpie Guy is here. Hey, Robinson has had a good cause for insanity, knowing how perverted he is. Can he actually claim insanity, Rob? He is one sicko pup. So it's really competency. Like, is he competent to stand trial? I haven't seen anything that says he isn't, but it's something that the judges can do, right? Or that the defense can ask for. So like once Robinson gets a lawyer, maybe his lawyer's like, this dude's just friggin' nuts. And I can't even talk to him. He doesn't understand what's happening. He doesn't understand the penalties that he faces. He doesn't understand the nature of the charges. He doesn't understand that I'm his lawyer. Like, he's just insane. He's just gone. So he can't even participate in his defense. And so you have a separate process for that. But he would have to be adjudicated incompetent. And that's a pretty tall order. Remember Ryan Ruth, who's like nuts, the other Trump assassin who tried to shoot him on the golf course. He went through that process and he was adjudicated competent, and he doesn't seem competent at all, but he's defending himself. The judge let him do it. So it's a real high standard to say that, no, we're not going to prosecute you for your crimes. Boiling Point Live. Hey, I think we're going on with Boiling Point next week. I think hopefully on Friday. I think we're trying to figure out a date on that. Thanks for the raid, Boiling Point Live. Good to have you. We got NY Renal says, the country saw a snuff film. Yeah, and we all saw it like right here. Right? Like right in our faces, like 6 inches away. Oh my God. And we saw it over and over, many of us. And it's about as close to it as you could get in real life, right? And then they want you to just don't, stay calm, don't watch it, don't look at it, don't get upset about it. It's okay. We just watched it about as close as you can get. Okay. You might as well be sitting there. About the only way it could get more real, okay? And you want us to just sit here and just like turn back to economic policy or something that we don't even control? Does it require a moment to tell the youth, I think it's great to murder? It's the same pablum from the Democrats. If you're not one of them, if you're not a Democrat, you're literally Hitler. It's basically their ideology. Woodchip Bill, the most demented point of view is put front and center. The left will always go to the lowest words they can think of, from Woodchip Bill. Yeah, and I think it's going to backfire on them bigly. Like, they have to placate to their base, but even a sizable portion of Democrats are disgusted by murder. So I think that hopefully they wake up and leave the party. Biology always wins. What's up? Thank you for this one. Says Omar came with a negative $4,500. I didn't know where that word was going, but it's negative. Okay. Negative $4,500. Now she's worth $6 to $30 million of disclosure. Thanks, Rock and Rob. Thank you, Biology Always Wins. Yeah, it's good money to come in here and drive conflict and bring in foreign invaders. I'm sure she's doing very well. It's almost a dangerous comment there. Biology Always Wins. Omar came with a negative. Okay. Chubby, so the president of Somalia is basically admitting Omar is a foreign agent. Doesn't that disqualify her from holding office? I mean, it sure sounded to me like he was claiming her as one of his. Yeah, no, he's very happy that she's there representing Somalia, and she, will be an advocate for foreign aid for Somalia and other integration with Somalia and fight for Somalian refugees to come here. Blah, blah, blah. Bonnie, feeding our future fraud. A large-scale fraud scheme in Minnesota involving the misappropriation of federal funds intended for children nutrition programs implicated several individuals with Somali backgrounds. Here's another one. Asylum fraud. A Somali national was sentenced in 25 for committing asylum fraud involving false claims to undermine the immigration system and sex trafficking too. Great. Yeah, let's bring more in. Thanks, Omar. In 2010, federal authorities charged Somali gangs in the U.S. with running a sex trafficking ring in multiple states. Great. Diversity is our strength. We need more Somalians here. Chubby says, I find myself wondering how many of these recent FBI operations are things that competent and patriotic agents tried to investigate under Biden, but were told to drop it and to focus on the hyper-partisan investigations the administration and the FBI leaders wanted done instead. Probably a lot, man. Yeah, and even if it's not explicit, it's implicit. And if you want to go after somebody who's a Democrat friendly, you just kind of see which way the waters are flowing. There's a lot of that happens, and I think people are kind of observing that. Democrats are observing that this is happening, I think, at a broader scale than it was before. When the first time Trump came in, a lot of people in the media, a lot of the tech companies, nobody really thought it was going to be a thing, right? So they all were just kind of neutral that first term. But then when Biden comes in or the Democrats come in, then they all play the game. Okay, all of them, George Floyd everywhere. You got to play the game or you're going to be attacked, and they know that. And they were. They threw Trump off the internet. They attacked Republicans. They censored many of us and weaponized the FBI, as we talked about today. Now, and that was in the 2020 election to 2024. All of the institutions went nuts. Gay flags everywhere, all this stuff. Trans flags all over the place. It's ridiculous. Now, Trump is back, okay? And he's wielding that same power. And now we're starting to see some effects of that. Disney's probably oh, crap. If we keep Kimmel on here, it's not going to be good. So they're just reading the political winds, right? And they're kind of following those. And I think the FBI was probably doing a lot of that too. But this second Trump term feels like people are all the tech bros are coming out of the woodwork. Lots of media people have, kind of toning it down a little bit. Jake Tapper's I'm sorry about what we did with Biden. He writes a mea culpa book trying to salvage his reputation. And Disney and these big companies yep, we're going to cancel you. You're getting canceled. Teachers, colleges, people are seeing that there is a shift. This is not just a temporary fluke. There's a shift happening. And that's it's like turning the Titanic around. It's a giant cultural shift that's happening. But the FBI is as culturally rotten as anything. Maybe the most. This old guy says, Corey cut a deal with the Dems to keep his censure from happening. I hope the Dems renege on the deal because Corey needs to be censured. Yeah, there's some pretty bad allegations there, if they're true. Sharpie guy, isn't it amazing how corrupt the left is and how far they're willing to go to keep us quiet, afraid, and dead? All to enhance the power of evil. Yeah, well, I definitely do think it's a darkness, and I just don't understand, how they even raise their kids or operate thinking that they're going to die every minute and everything is bad and the whole world is somebody else's fault. They have no self-autonomy. Everybody's to blame for all of their problems. It's you're a real person, you have some ability to create your life. It may not be exactly what you want, but don't you have some self-autonomy? Don't you have any agency of your own life? Many of them know, right? They're just, oh, no, it's everybody else's problem. It's causing them to be in pain. And the world has to orient around their pronouns and their ideology and have to read what they think what they think and do what they say and all that. No, it's not freedom at all. So what is that? If it's not freedom, then what is that? It's slavery and it's evil. Bucky's is Rome. We've all made jokes from James Wood. We've all made jokes at Jimmy Kimmel's expense, but Mr. Kimmel is a fellow artist. And I am in fact heartbroken to see the way he has been treated, said James Woods. I believe he is, in his heart of hearts, a good and decent fellow, devoid of malice and hate. Just kidding, Jimbo. Eat crap, loser. Zena Xavier, what's up? Thank you, Zena. Thanks for being here for 30 months. That's a long time. We've been through some serious stuff together. Keep up the good work, Rob. Thank you, Zena. Thank you for making it possible and being a membo and supporting us. Being here. Grateful for you. Thank you. We got Bonnie. Reports and investigations in Minnesota have revealed a pattern of Medicaid fraud involving individuals and centers, some operated by people of Somali descent, related to autism services and other care, right? And like, who's going to go take money away from the autistic kids? How dare you? You hate autistic kids? No, we hate thieving Somalians. Okay, that's the point. But they would never say that. Oh, you're just trying to kill autistic kids. No, we're not. We're trying to stop Ahmud from taking all the money. The schemes involve billing millions of dollars for services that were never provided, and investigations by state and federal authorities are ongoing. Thank you, Bonnie, for that. Yeah, Milo Phone Bill, what's up? Yeah, here's some photos. Candace Owens releases a photo of Robinson allegedly taken at Dairy Queen at 6:38. Why would Robinson go to Orem, Utah? Was the photo taken in St. George instead? The floor is the same, but I can't locate the same counter though. Man, that's awesome. So Milo Phone Bill, man. So the internet is just like undefeated. You guys are, it's just amazing. So yeah, like people are going into the Dairy Queen. Like, does it have the same countertop? Like, where is this Dairy Queen location? How many Dairy Queens are there in Utah, in the area? Very interesting. Yeah, can't locate the same counter though. Maybe it's just AI. Maybe somebody's just sending, fake stuff into Candace. Who knows? Biology always wins. Sorry, Charlie. Thanks to you, the VA might be saved. Thank you, Biology always wins. For the negative comment, yeah. Hopefully so. The VA might be saved. I don't think I have anything to do with any of that, but, fortunately, we've got some much more capable people in charge. Sharpie Guy, what's up? I've been chatty today, LOL. But Erica Kirk probably does not know everything or probably does know everything from intimate moments, pillow talk with Charlie. My money's on her for sure, Rob. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly what she knows, but I mean, they were very close. They traveled together. They did a lot of work. Your wife, it's like your best friend, your closest, person in your whole world. So I'm sure she knows a lot, including the things that he couldn't tell to anybody else. Chubby, what's up? Axel did no such thing. He didn't touch that camera. How dare you accuse such a real good boy? I saw the camera move and I saw you move, and I never once saw the goodest of all good boys move. I declare him innocent with prejudice. Hashtag stand with Axel. You're right about the whole thing. I should be censured for my prior accusation. But please don't deport me. Will Crump, censuring Ilhan and stripping her of all her committees should have been a slam dunk. Establishment Republicans are feckless cowards, and apparently they're self-interested in their own quid pro quo so that their own scandals don't get called to account. What's up, James Kipp? Omar was 11 during the famine. We spent billions in aid. We lost 43 Americans. We should have left her hoping for a half-eaten sandwich from Sally Struthers. Man, I've never had those. Are they not good sandwiches? Doesn't sound that good. But honestly, if she's so interested in Somalia and she loves Somalia and America's so bad, why isn't she helping her people there? Well, she's a capable communicator. She can route. She's got some money and support. They don't. They want America to save all these other countries, but actually they want the countries to basically come take over America, which we're not going to allow to happen. Will Crump, it was for a few dollars more. Clint Eastwood Western. See, I haven't seen a lot of those. I just haven't seen a lot of those. We watched one with my uncle. I don't watch a lot of movies, and especially like old movies. It's kind of like, I just don't watch them. But anyways, I'm sure they're amazing and probably much better than anything that's out there today, honestly. Just Rhonda, what's up? Says, okay, Utah Code, annotated, section 762305. A mental condition can only be used as a defense if it demonstrates that the defendant lacked the mental state required as an element of the offense charged. Yeah, so it's a great component. It's basically like, there's two components to a crime, generally speaking. There are some that are strict liability crimes that don't require a mental state. I think we talked about this last week. The most common of those is statutory rape. Okay, so if you're like 30, you have sex with a 15-year-old. Like, I thought she was 18. She told me she was 18. She showed me her driver's license that said she was 18. Doesn't matter. You still did that. You're in trouble. That's the law. Your intent doesn't matter because in those cases, like everybody's intent. She is? She's underage? So the law just says, no, like you're not. I had no idea. Yeah, okay. Doesn't matter. So don't do it, right? That's the law. Might disagree with that law, but that's the law. And there's no mens rea required for that. But most crimes have a mens rea, the mental state, and an actus reus. And your mental state doesn't necessarily have to be intentional. It can be reckless. It can be negligent. It can be knowing. You know, did you know of the thing? All these different mental states. But if you're insane, then you can't hit the requisite mental state. You can't fit into one of those. And that's a component of the crime. So it's kind of like there's other processes, but they try to restore that person to competency and then bring them back into the criminal process if they can. But sometimes that doesn't happen. And people are just, permanently incompetent. So Just Rhonda, what's up? Thank you, Just Rhonda. And the Rubos are here. What's going on, the Rubos? Amazing. Rob, we wrote a prayer for the Sunday Memorial and for our nation. The Rubos have amazing prayers, but it is too long to post here. If anyone in the Watcher community would like a PDF of this prayer, reach out to us, Donald@rubosaltshop.com, and we'll be happy to share it with you. The Rubos, that's amazing. If you guys could email me the PDF, then I think I could maybe post it or attach it or upload it somewhere. If you want to do that, if you feel like sharing it around that way. But yeah, feel free to send it over via email. And I think I can just even upload it to like locals, to the lodge. Maybe we'll do it at the lodge. Maybe I'll create a little section at the lodge, and then we can deploy that tomorrow. All right, so Rubos, thank you. Check it out, rubosaltshop.com. They have the best salt you've ever had. Comes from the oceans of France, and it's way better than Morton's or whatever garbage you currently have. All right, Londo, the left is trying to stop our restoration of decency. We must not relent. No, we have. It's like it's like with like a misbehaving dog who knocks your camera around. You have to correct that behavior. Just kidding. I'm not going to do anything. It was an accident. He's a good boy, as we said. But you get the point. It's like you have to. There has to be corrective behavior. I'm not saying violence or commit violence, but it's like you don't just sit there and just allow your people to be murdered and then you be silent because the other side is browbeating you into silence. Just Rhonda, there's a DQ Dairy Queen 2 miles from me. The UV campus is 4 miles from me. Still, I need metadata on that photo. Well, Just Rhonda, I mean, that's interesting. Like, I'd be curious if you just went in there. Like, if you just walked in there, is that countertop the same? Does it look the same? I think the photo was here. Like, are these angles like real? Is this real? Like, do you see this kind of bowed wall? If it's bowed or it's just a camera fish lens, are there, like gaps in the baseboards that match this here? Like, what is all that real? Is this countertop real? Are there 2 doors that open right there on the countertop? Like, that seems kind of strange, right? Like, do you see fast food restaurants that just have kind of like, they definitely have jut out, things like this to kind of block you and guide you. But are there doors in there that anybody could just open? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. So it's very interesting. And I was thinking about Candace and how, she's sharing this, and I think I would share it too. I'd say, somebody emailed me this. I don't know. I could use your help. Thank you for your help. And I think that's happening. People are like, oh, actually, this is a little strange. This is a little bit weird. So we're getting the details, but I do think that there are probably bad actors out there too who are trying to, seed bad information and, oh, we got that on Candace's show or something like that. So we're skeptical about everything. We're skeptical even about the stuff that comes from the government. Why are those ... dots in there repeatedly? Did you leave out giant chunks of the text message exchange? What exactly is going on over there? Let's see what's happening over on X, my beautiful friends. B. Torn says, not saying much, but Hawk Newsom's BLM chapter is not associated with BLM, and they've disavowed any connection to it, courtesy of B. Torn. Also talking about Seton Motley is also a good follow. He's your Substack neighbor over on the webs now too. Yeah, so we got a lot of the case files. So like this George Zinn stuff, all these case files are over at our Substack. So as more documents drop, if you guys want to access any of these, Link should be down in the description below. All the documents for George Zinn and Charlie Kirk, and as they come, we're going to just keep adding to this and have a full listing of all the documents here. May need to create multiple pages and more. But those are over on Substack. And then, of course, we have the full assassination details file, which is also over here. And the Charlie Kirk memorial stuff, some details, the location is over there. And the full timeline and all the other, press briefings, Lance Twigs, it's all there. So you can see armed queers, governor statements, early leaks, other individuals, the cheering guy, it's all there. Okay, lots of scrolling there. So that's over at Substack if you want to check that out. All right, so thank you for those. And on X, Be Torn, hey, Deb keeps words real. Good to see you. Says there was a law that immigrants, that if they don't embrace the values, they must leave. That law must be reenacted. Well, yeah, and there's statements in there like, do you disagree? Like, are you a communist? Like, do you disagree with American values? And like, no. Like, are you part of any other anti-American groups? No. Are you part of any other groups that are advocating for foreign conflict? No. Oh, you were. So that was fraudulent. Now it's time for you to leave. So good stuff. Thank you for those comments, my friends. Thanks for your support. Welcome aboard to our new membos. We're going to head over to our members only after party right now. And we can't wait to see you over there. It is going to be a new link for our YouTube friends. And it's going to be the same link for our locals friends. But we hope to come and see you back in just a few short minutes. But we're going to pause here for the morning, my friends. Thank you for joining us on this early stream. And of course, membos, we're going to come back tomorrow to get into it again on our members only Saturday stream. And then this Sunday, we'll be down in the Valley at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. And so if you're going to be there, hopefully we get to see you there. And we're all going to be dressed in our Sunday best to pay our respects to a great man and to pray for his great family. So that's what the agenda is, my friends. Otherwise, we're going to be back on Monday. We'll debrief and we'll see what's happening out there. But for the rest of this lovely Friday, I hope that your day is just amazing and that you're doing something good this weekend, accomplishing all the things you set your mind to. We're going to pause here for the evening. Before we do, we want to thank our amazing mods and meme smiths. Big shout outs and big thank yous over to K-Bean, to Carrie B, to Donut, to John, to Neuro D, Dog Digger, and Janek. Big shout outs to Geegum Geegum, Elliot, and Just Rhonda, our purveyor of fine emojis. We got some good Charlie Kirk emojis coming up soon. James Kip says, you don't remember, there goes Axel again. I mean, the wind again. Says, from All in the Family. You don't remember Sally Struthers from All in the Family? Commercials for Famine Aid. Sally was a bit Zoftig. Well, it was in the 80s and the 90s, and so I'm old. Well, so in the 80s, I was born. And in the 90s, I think I was watching like The Simpsons or something, and Captain Planet before that, and Power Rangers before that, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before that. All good stuff. All right, so my friends, we're going to pause here for the evening. Membo, stick around. We're going to be back in just 2 minutes. We're going to have an after party. See what else you have to say about this. Take some comments and see how your Friday is unfolding. But we'll pause here for the weekend, my friends. Hopefully, we see you on Sunday. We're going to be down there. I know some other people are coming. Viva's coming. Robert Barnes is coming. And I'm sure it's just going to be a packed house. And it's going to be a beautiful way to remember a great man. So we'll pause here for the weekend, my friends. I hope you're doing something good. And if not joining us, pausing at least on Sunday to join us virtually and to celebrate a great life. We'll pause here for the rest of the evening. Of course, Membo, stick around. We're going to come back on Monday to get into it again. And in order to do that appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful weekend, my friends, and in a great afternoon. We'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. We brought the heat with every chat and line. Together we exposed corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers, truth on our side. Watching the watchers, we won't be denied. Watching the watchers, eyes open wide. Fighting for freedom with nothing to hide. Drop a like and don't forget to share. And bring a friend who's ready to care. Tomorrow's lies are just today's news, but here we see through the scripted ruse. Together we are watching the watchers, shining the light. Watching the watchers, defending what's right. Watching the watchers, stay each night together and live.